Well, we're here in the Townsquare Media Conference Room, and I'm Chris Popper. I'm joined by Katy Coffin from Bangor. And Katy did the video "One More Day," which we've got on our channel here, and we wanted to follow up with it. And we're going to just this is kind of in light of the fact that last night, on Saturday night, an elderly gentleman in Skowhegan committed suicide. Last week in Ellsworth, a young teenager committed suicide. And we just want to, I guess, really talk to everyone about suicide and suicide prevention.
Absolutely.
You committed. You obviously didn't commit suicide.
I did not commit.
But you tried to.
I did try, and I attempted. And it was actually this past week. It was 3 years ago, exactly. And it's pretty crazy to see where I was 3 years ago to now, because back then, suicide was never talked about, and if you even spoke about it, you were labeled as like crazy. And I don't think people need to see it as that label anymore. I think they just need to realize that you deserve to get treatment just like a diabetic gets treatment for their insulin. People need to start talking about it and not bottle up, because we shouldn't be having 9-year-olds commit suicide, 14-year-olds commit suicide, anyone. I was 20 years old when I tried, and honestly there's a lot more life out there, and I'm learning that. It's definitely not easy, but the thing in my video that I always said was you just have to have one more day. Give it one more day, talk to one more person, and you'd be surprised at how it can change your life.
It's funny because in this day and age of social media now, all of a sudden Facebook is going to be providing tips, or if you see someone who is posting something that you're concerned about, you can notify Facebook, and they're going to then offer some suggestions for those people that people are concerned about them.
I think that is awesome, but in the same time, call your local 911 phone number. It is the fastest. You can stay anonymous. The police will go do a welfare check, and that's the speediest thing versus having Facebook to connect to our dispatchers, because honestly, you don't want to take the chance. Someone can die in an instant, so don't. I know your heart's in the right place, but try to get it faster than Facebook. Don't just rely on that. I think it's absolutely wonderful, but then again, just call, actually not 911, the non-emergency phone line, unless you do feel like it's a 911 situation and if there was a gun or a knife. So you just have to play it safe.
You talked about one more day. And I know I really appreciate you coming here today. People who feel depressed, who have thoughts of suicide, you're not thinking rationally.
No.
And, when you sit here and you go and you think about it, and we all get depressed. We all... it's probably pretty normal to think, oh, well, fine, everybody can get by without me. But it's really hard when you do something like, that's a final decision. There aren't, you're lucky. Your mom found you.
Yeah, and I don't really mind opening up about it. I took over 33 pills in hopes to overdose myself and just put myself to sleep, essentially. And my mom found me within 8 hours of my liver being finally shut down. So it's one of those things that when I made that attempt, and generally when people do make attempts, it's pretty final. They are either in... when I remember waking up still thinking I was a failure, like, oh my God, I couldn't even kill myself right. But that's so not okay to think that way. But then that's when really the treatment and talking really started. And ever since then, I kind of don't shut up about it. It's definitely a hard realization to think, you go from being that, seasonal depression because it's snowy, to when it's beautiful 4th of July and you're like, is this going to be my last fireworks I'll ever see? Because you're planning to hurt yourself or end your life. Because sometimes it can be an instant thing, but some people plan it for months, days, years even, knowing when they're going to do it. So it's really unpredictable. That's why we really just need to start talking about it. Get out there.
It's hard to think when you're 20 years old that, okay, well, what happens? But I was thinking while I was in church today, you're 20 years old. You're going to have kids. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Who knows what your children could become? They could become a great inventor. They could do so much, and that if you're not here, all that goes. You just don't know what happens, and that's why it's so important to give it one more day, because whether you think I'm not going to do anything, but think about your family, think about your future children. We sit here and I about the Ellsworth young teenager, and that whole Down East community is just grieving because he took his life. Mm-hmm. And his poor parents, mm-hmm. his family, his friends, and everyone sitting there saying, "Fly high, we miss you." And he's just gone.
And then the conversation stops as soon as the funeral's over. As soon as the last reception cupcakes slung out. No one realizes what put that young boy in that situation. Was it something going on in the school? Is it something going on outside in the community? They should be well aware someone has been taken, and no child or anyone should ever want to hurt themselves, especially at that innocent young age, and everything is so emotional and hurtful, and it's just honestly the community needs to realize each one another plays a specific role in each other's lives. Just like my Bangor community, we all kind of try to come together as much as we can. During the whole Patty Murphy's tragedy, when someone dies, it is over. That is it. And the only thing you can do is prevention and try to just talk about their memories, but it's never going to bring them back.
No. Unfortunately, suicide and death is final. If you are feeling suicidal, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Line. You can call 211. You can call 911. All of these are resources, and you've got to be able to talk to someone. And if you suspect someone is having these suicidal thoughts, you've got to call 211. You've got to call 911. You've got to call the National Suicide Prevention Line, so that way you can get these people help. Because and these people, it's you. It's everyone. Everyone harbors thoughts that at some time aren't the healthiest, and it's just a matter of communicating and reaching out to people, and rather than what's up and just nod to people, reach out to people. And it's hard because sometimes it's easier just to go on and go about our business. We're all so busy. And
be selfish and, be in tune. It's with Facebook, we're always taking selfies and not really focusing on the bigger picture of who's that person you're taking a picture with. I feel as soon as a death happens, everyone's putting up a picture of that person instead of, why weren't you picking up the phone and calling them instead?
And we're not being critical. We just want you to be aware, because in this age, it's all real easy to hit like on Facebook. Mm-hmm. It's all real easy to hit share. But you've got to watch for signs. If people are all of a sudden clamming up, if they start giving away personal items, these are all signs that things aren't right.
If they stop making plans, if they stop, pursuing dates, or removing bills or utilities in their houses, or selling off their items, or anything like that, being overly sentimental, or if you notice them just getting a little too euphoric or really, really down, and you've never seen them this way, over drinking, using substances, really just watch for that, because those are all red flags that something's not okay.
And it's uncomfortable to ask people, are you okay? Because then you're running the risk of them saying no, and then it's like, oh my gosh, now what do I do?
Now what do I do? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Yes, you can do a lot of things. I'm happy to say that you know how to use a cell phone, and I know that you can get on to any search engine you choose. Google is popular, and Google ways to be like, okay, well, what do you feel like right now? Do you feel like you want to go to a hospital? Do you want to go see a therapist? Do you want to go talk to your mom? Like, what do you think is going to make you feel safe? And that's your first question to them when someone says that they do not feel safe. How can we make you feel safe? Because you don't know what the situation is going on.
If you're a teenager, reach out to the person's parents. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to betray a confidence. What you're trying to do at this point is to save a life. And you've got to get help if someone says, I don't want to live, I don't want to be here. You've got to take those steps to get that person help, and you've got to do it quickly. Very
quickly. Because, you know what, for the most part, a lot of these people, I can't even say it myself, had been hurting for a while. And it's something that just builds and builds and builds, and a lot of bad days, but at the same time, it had to do with my own struggles. And realizing and accepting who I am and getting more into your own skin. But when you're 14 years old, you're awkward. You feel like you're all arms and legs, and that girl, like, you can't talk to her because, your throat's swelling up and this, that, and the other. And now we're 20, 23 years old, and we're like, we don't really know how to date unless it's Facebook official. So it's just, everyone needs to just kind of breathe and kind of accept and see one another for who they are.
If you're watching this and you're having thoughts about that you don't want to be here, please reach out. Call 211, call 911, call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, because you need help. We want you to be here. You've got great potential, and it's a matter of you living up to that potential. And whether, if you're not here, it's over. I mean, there's not any better way to say that. And it may seem like your problems are done if you were to commit suicide, but my gosh, your poor family. And I know, when you tried, you weren't thinking about your family.
No, not at all. I didn't realize, I remember being in the hospital bed, and I had family come from away, from New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and all of them standing over my bed, and they're all weeping and crying, and it was so emotional for me to see that, because I didn't think really anyone really cared that much. I'm an only child, but I have a lot of loving aunts, uncles, and cousins, and they really just showed me that, hey, your job's not done here, we need you. And that's what I want to say to someone who is watching this right now. We need you. We don't know what that purpose is, but I'm sure we're going to find it. We need you. That's it. That's all. And you just need to give it one more day. One little story from a response to my video that you can find on the website, and I highly, if you want to share it on Facebook, it gets a conversation started, or it's on YouTube as well. I had a woman message me saying that she shared my video, and it was so moving because she had wished her son, who passed away last April to suicide, would have seen this. And she goes, the reason I'm sharing your video is because I want all of his friends to see it and share it on. Because these kids shouldn't be dying. We need to figure out what's going on in Maine. My name's Katy Coffin. I am on Facebook. If you need any kind of resources or anything, or if you feel like you do need someone to talk to that's your age, if you're a youth, I'm a safe option, as well as we'll get you a safe and healthy option. Just don't do anything irrational and just keep yourself safe. Just be safe.
That's how we'll end it. Call 211, call 911, call the Suicide Prevention Hotline. You've got to give it one more day.
One more day. And you can get 100 more, if not a few thousand more. As I'm sitting here in front of you 3 years later.
That's 1,000 days.
1,000 days. I got 1,000 more days when I thought I was never going to see another sunrise, never take another breath. But I am enjoying every day that I have, even though some days aren't the best. But I'm breathing, and I'm here. So, like I said, I'm trying to find my purpose.
Well, I think you found your purpose. We want you to find your purpose, but to do that, you've got to be here. So again, if you're having bad thoughts, call 211. They can get the help for you. Call 911. Call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Thanks, Katy.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. And one more day.
One more day.